Okay, I'm out here at the hives and it's been very, very hot of late, so I'm doing some housekeeping to try to help them cool down. If you look at this hive, see how all the bees are lined up? They're trying to cool the hive down. Cooling the air out. This hive has a solid bottom. This hive over here, they're doing that as well, but it has a screened bottom, but it's stacked 4 high. So I'm going to do some things. The tall white hive over there with the flowers down at the bottom, I'm going to drill an upper entrance up there in that top box that will allow bees going to the honey stores to go straight to the honey stores without having to go up through 3 boxes to get to their box. It also will increase the airflow. For this brown hive, it's stacked 3 high and it is a solid bottom, so there's no additional airflow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this top in there, and if you can see, it's screened and it has holes. So I'll put it in there, put the top back on it, and it'll create some airflow in that particular hive. So I'm just working hive by hive to see what I can do to cool them down. So the 2 hives on the far end have screened bottoms, so that helps them to cool. The taller hive here with kind of the greenish top, it has a screened bottom. And the one on the hen with a silver top, it has a screened bottom. So that will help those hives to cool down. Also, this one's stacked 3 high. I've put an upper entrance there already. I may come back and put an upper entrance in that cream and green colored hive. Just walking through and seeing what I can do to help them cool down. Okay, if they will let me, I'm going to put in this screen on top of this hive. It's got an old makeshift inner cover anyway. It's just some press board that I used to create an entrance cover. So I'm just going to pry this off and I'm going to put this other cover on. You can just see it's some cheap press wood that I had lying around. I'm going to put this in, and it creates some airflow for them, and it should significantly cool down that hive. I think in a day or so they'll be much happier. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drill an upper entrance into this hive. Now I probably will suit up for that. My bigger hives are my grumpier hives. The smaller hives usually are calmer, but typically it's not too bad being around them. But if I go to drilling in that and working on that, there's not as many bees up in the top. But these guard bees are going to get pretty upset. So I'm going to put on my jacket, and I'm going to drill a hole here so that they've got an upper entrance. And so that'll help them in a couple of ways. Again, most of these upper boxes are honey stores. Your brood is mostly down here, down in the bottom. So by drilling a hole up here, bees that are bringing in nectar and pollen can go straight into those boxes without having to crawl up through the hive. And so, anyway, that's my plan. Plus, it'll cool them out. I had straps on some of these hives because we've had some pretty stormy weather. And we've got pretty bad storms coming in. I will frequently try to strap them down a little bit if I know about it ahead of time. Now, the only reason I'm popping this hood for a minute is I'm not going to take that upper hive box off. I'm really don't have a spare hive box to do it on. A lot of people would drill a hole in another box and then swap out the frames. I don't have the luxury of being able to do that right now. So I'm going to drill the hole with the bees still in the box. Maybe not the smartest, but it's just what I need to do right now. So they will not be happy with me. But anyway, what I want to do too, just going to line it up. I'm just going to look at where I want to make my hole so that it's in between frames. Main thing I'm going to try to do. So all I'm going to do here is find the middle of the frame and just make sure I start my hole in the middle so that the probe, so you got a little point on that drill. I want that to go between frames so that it'll go all the way through. Won't mess up the frame. All right, we're all the way through. I didn't hit the frames. I didn't do any damage to the frame. But now we have an upper entrance right here. Now what I'm going to do is I'll come back and I have a little turntable entrance reducer. So that over like that, I'll put a screw right in there and this will turn and I can create multiple types of openings. So like, not really openings, but for example, if I want just air, but I don't want bees to be able to go in and out, then I'll turn it that way. If I want it to have just a small entrance, I can turn it that way. So there'll be just a screw there. You got this little knob to spin it. And anyway, that allows me to either make it a door or make it a screen window. And that's my choice. So I'm doing that again to give them an upper entrance for bees going into the honey supers and to create more airflow in the hive. So I see bees already beginning to check it out, so we'll see how they like it. All right, let me continue to talk about some things I'm going to do to try to cool out some of these hives. Okay, in this hive, it has a screen bottom, but up top in this top box, you can see I've got my internal feeder. I'm only feeding right now about 4 of the hives. We're kind of in the early stages of the dearth, where they don't get as much nectar, so it's when I give them a little help with sugar, especially like these 2 hives here are 2 of my smaller hives, and so I'm giving them some sugar water right now. But and this one already, it has the feeder in it, so I just went ahead and dumped it in. I'm not feeding it sugar on a regular basis, but I did go ahead and dump some in this time. All right, so I've got this little screen opening here. There's some screen on the other side, and I don't really want bees going in through here, but I do want some air. So what I'm going to do is just drill a hole right down in here. I'll put another little screen mesh over it, and that'll just create a little more airflow inside of this hive. I'm also going to make a hole on the front of this one. Now remember, I talked about that I can put screens on that will rotate. And so what I'll do with this one, I really don't want it open. So what I can do is I'll make the hole and I can spin this to either make it just an air vent or an opening. On this one, I'm just going to make it an air vent. I really don't want to create another entrance. It's a smaller box of bees, so there are fewer bees to guard. Every time you create an entrance, you have to have bees that guard that entrance. Well, with a big hive like that one over there, you've got plenty of bees to guard the entrance. That's why I have to be more careful when I'm around it to keep them getting stung, because they just have more alert guard bees and have more of them. And so that one, when I put the entrance adjuster on it, I'll set it to open. I'll just create a door. But on the one over here, the cream and green hive, I will set it as just a vent entrance. I don't want them to have to guard it. I just want some airflow. My hole inside my inner cover. Again, I'm just trying to create airflow. And you can see how I put screen up here. I've just got some old window screen, and I'll cut out a little square and staple it in place. All right, all I do, if I don't want bees to come out of that, is I just place that on it and staple it in place. Pretty simple. Hard to get at that angle, but it'll do. All right, not the greatest work of art, but now I've got airflow, so I can put my lid back on and air can flow into the hive and it'll cool them down a little bit. Okay, that is green and cream hive. I'm going to make an opening up top. Now, I don't plan to use it as an entrance, as I mentioned. Just using it for venting. The only reason I'm lifting this cover is so when I drill my hole, I can go in between the frames. I just want to know where the frames are when I drill. I want to try it without my hood because it is stinking hot out here. They may wear me out, but this is usually a calmer hive. Mainly because it's a smaller hive. From a hive tool. All right, so we're going to go in here. Just going to lift this cover just so I can line up to shoot between the frames. Frame is right there, so I should be able to go right there. And I'm going to try to do this quickly without my All right, we're through. I didn't hit my frame on the inside. That smaller hive's a little calmer. I couldn't have done that on another one. I know they're not happy with me, but it's done. And I'm just trying to get them some airflow. I wanted to put this where I can spin it and give multiple options. They're discovering it. Just like us, you see a hole in the side of your house, you're going to go look at it. All right, not that complicated. So it's an entrance or an air vent, and I'm just going to use it as an air vent right now. Okay, I'm going to put my entrance adjuster on this hive. I went ahead and put my hood on. They were going after my head. This bigger hive is grumpier than the rest of them. Plus, I've been drilling on the side of their house. I don't exactly blame them, but I also don't want to give them the opportunity to sting me in the head. You're stung in the arm. It happens all the time. Getting it in the head, it's not fun. Okay, got it a little too tight. Loose. Hand tightening. There we go. So now they have an entrance here, and if I decide I don't want them to have to guard that, I can just spin it and make it an air opening. But I'd like him to be able to use it as an entrance as well as an air vent. Now, like I put my upper entrances on the same side as my lower entrance. Now, you could actually, if I put it around here on the back side, I would actually probably create better airflow in the hive. But when I'm working on my hive, it is nice to come around and work on it from the back, because all your guard bees for the hive are going to be around front where the entrances are. So if I have an entrance on the front and the back, then I've got bees on both sides wherever I'm working, whose job is to keep me away. By keeping my entrances on the same side, it allows me often to work behind the hive, even take the top off and go into the upper box and so forth. And often I don't have to hood up or anything. I'm most apt to get stung when I'm around front and when I'm dealing with the front guard bees. Okay, so let's kind of talk about each of the hives. What I'm trying to do is cool them down. For our hive on the left, it has a screen bottom, so it's got some airflow. The one next to it that has the flowers at the bottom, it has a screen bottom, but it's got 4 medium boxes. So I've added an upper entrance to cool it down some and allow them to go into those upper boxes without having to crawl up through the hive. With this particular box, I've put in a screened inner cover to help to create airflow for them. For this hive, I've put in an upper hole. I've got it set to screen and not opening because I don't want them to guard it. This particular hive has a screened bottom, and what I've done is I've created some air vents so that they can get some air through the top of the hive. This box down on the end has a screened bottom, and so I think they've got decent airflow. I need to come back and check on this green top hive. One thing that helps it, if you'll notice, is it has a lot of shade from this taller hive. It helps those smaller hives if there's a tall one next to them. So that does help that small green top hive to have some shade. So I think it's okay right now. They seem to be doing well. I don't see bearding or a bunch of bees hanging out front. Now I've got to make a decision on what I'm going to do with this yellow hive. This yellow hive is not a healthy hive. My other 7 hives are doing well, but this one has some issues. So I've got to decide what I'm going to do to help it, and when I make that decision, I'll make a decision about how to cool it down. So the point is, you just have to work on helping your hives, help your bees to be able to cool their homes.